All right, so gonna do another coding demo using arrays and loops for our current lesson. So just kind of top of my head, right, going to write some code using loops. So first of all, let's come up with a program. So let's say this program, I'm a professor, right? So let's go with some kind of grading program. So instantly I'm gonna need a scanner, right? So as soon as I see a scanner, it's gonna suggest that I import it. I'm gonna call it user input equals new scanner. Remember, if you want to take keyboard input, you got to pass in that system.in argument. Okay, and then so I don't forget, I'm gonna close it at the very bottom and then write my code in between. Okay, so a lot of my classes have like around 25 students. So, but let's say I do want this to be super flexible. I don't maybe know how many students write ahead of time, so I could actually take user input to assign that. So let me come up with my variables first. So first is going to be int class size. I'm not going to initialize it because I'm going to let the user do that during the program. Namely, I'll be the user, right? So we got class size. I'm going to actually need an array, right, to store the scores. So I'm going to call it int I don't know, quiz one scores. It's an array, so I have to use my brackets. Notice I'm not initializing it, so I'm kind of just cutting the statement off there. It looks a lot like my declaration on line 7. Of course, line 8 is not a regular variable, it's an array. Okay, so I got my class size, I got my scores. I should have a variable, right, to collect their response. So I'm gonna call it string response. Uh, and then again, keep that blank. Okay, so starting off, you got to have a nice message, right, to your program. So system.out.println, welcome to the class, to the Java grader. Okay. So that's going to be my welcome message. Now here is where I need to collect the quiz scores, right, from the user. So naturally, this is going to be a loop that continues not for a preset amount of time, right? I mean, I am collecting based on the class size, so I could go with a for loop, but I could also go with a while loop. Let's go with, we're going to go with both actually, because maybe I want to grade multiple classes, right? So I'm going to go with a while loop all around. Because if you remember the input validation loop that we wrote with while loops, this is going to enable the user to reset the program if they wanted to. So we have that. So while, and this is this going to be a do while? Let's make it a do while, since this is definitely going to run at least once, right? Uh, yeah, because we're not going to collect the user input until we're inside the array. So we should have this run at least once. So while response does not equal, let's go with n. And then I gotta end it with my semicolon. Did I spell response wrong? It's just not initialized. Yeah. It's gonna give me an error until I actually assign it a value. All right, so I got my welcome message. Now I have my repetitive logic here, right? I'm gonna be grading the quiz scores over and over. So in fact, I'm not gonna call this quiz one, right? Because there might be multiple quizzes that I'm grading. All right, so here's where I'm gonna put all my repetitive code. So first we're gonna put, you know, system dot out dot println. First thing I'm interested in is the class size. How many students in the class? And then of course, right, we're gonna call our scanner object, which was user input dot next line. And then I gotta grab it, right? And I have a variable to do that, and that's response. Oh, this is a mismatch, right? I made this a char, so this should be not a char. This should be a string. There you go. Oh, yeah, yeah. And when you're comparing strings, you shouldn't use the not equals. You should use the dot equals. There's a special method. Unfortunately, when you're comparing objects, because remember, strings are objects, not primitives. So when you're using primitives, it's totally fine to use, not equals or the double equal sign. When using objects, though, non-primitives, definitely go with their methods. You'll notice some weird behavior when I just do not equal sometimes. It's better to use the method there. But you'll discover that on your own, right? If it's not from me telling you right, it'll be from logical errors in your program not doing what you want it to do. All right, so and remember, debugging, the process of debugging is where you learn the most in programming. The mistakes you make, they're gonna, give you PTSD, and they're gonna remind you, hey, I'm not gonna do this mistake next time because I remembered how much pain it gave me the first time. Funny thing about programming. Okay, so let's see. Response, user next line. Okay, it's looking good. It's complaining, reassigned, local variable. Okay. Yeah, so saying as long as response does not equal n. Okay, this looks good. So how many students in your class? Oh, this is a problem though. I shouldn't be collecting the user response, for all the other questions um in the same variable. So maybe I'll have, let me rename user input. So we're going to do rename. We're just going to call it scanner response. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to call it string continue. How about end program response? I'm just gonna keep it, two different variables. So I'm gonna do end program response. Okay, there we go. Just so that I don't mix them up, or I don't know, maybe make a comparison too early. It's just better to have them split up. So we got how many students you want in the class. So that's gonna be response equals scanner dot next line. So that's gonna be the integer. So class size. So now this is the class size. So I'm gonna do class size is equal to, remember, you have to do some parsing, which is similar to casting, but parsing is the correct way to do this. So parse int. So that's how you turn an integer, right? Sorry, a string into an integer. So then I'm gonna do response. Yeah, notice parse int. You can throw in pretty much it says string value, so parses the string argument as a integer. Okay, looks good. That's class size. Looking good so far. So then we got to do system dot out. I guess we should just collect the scores from here. So that means I got to declare the size of quiz scores. So quiz scores is going to be int. Forgot my new int, and then it's going to be class size because the user's determining the class size. And this is where I'm going to have my for loop. This is where I'm going to collect all the quiz scores. So for int I equals 0, and we're going to name it something else just to be different. Int counter equals 0, counter. Remember, the classic axis loop is the name of the array dot length. And then, of course, counter plus plus. Looking good. It's complaining because there's nothing in there yet. So we're going to collect all the quiz scores. So we're going to do quiz scores I is equal. Well, first I got to ask for the quiz score, right? So I got to do system.out.println. What is the what is score, or we'll say enter score number. And then I could certainly go with just, plus counter. But it's going to start counting at 0, which kind of looks weird, as a regular human. So instead of counter, I'm going to say counter plus 1. And notice to do the math, I do wrap it in parentheses, so it treats this as a single value. It'll probably work either way, but with concatenation, sometimes it can get confusing. All right, so but definitely invite you to try both ways. I'm just gonna keep going with the code though. All right, so quiz scores I is equal to oh yeah, and then I have to grab it from the keyboard. So response. I could do next int. That kind of solves the problem altogether. Response. So yeah, maybe that's better, right, than parsing. Let's just do next int. Totally forgot about that. Scanner, and this will be class size. So yeah, shortening my code actually. So to eliminate the parsing step, I'm just gonna have the scanner look for an integer. Yeah, that's a little bit more clever. So this is not gonna be response anymore. We're directly gonna assign that value. And then it's not force of habit, it's counter. Let's rename this actually. Let's call it index. Might as well. Index. All right, it's looking good. So enter the score. It's gonna populate, all the elements of the quiz scores array with whatever the user punches in. Um, we don't have an end program response yet, so this should go outside the loop, right? Once you ask for all the scores, this is where you're gonna ask them, hey, do you wanna grade another test? Do you want to grade another exam? And then we'll do response. And this kind of I haven't really used response again, so I don't really need that other variable anymore. Yep. Sometimes it's hard to get the code right on the first try. So we're going to say response equals scanner.next line. And then I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to do 2 lowercase. 2 lowercase essentially is always going to turn it lowercase, so I don't have to worry about the user putting in uppercase or lowercase. So do you want to grade another exam? Yes or no? I put it uppercase because again, it doesn't matter what they punch in, lowercase, uppercase. I'm gonna always take it as lowercase. So this is how you make it case insensitive. It doesn't care about the casing. Okay, so we got response. I should probably test this out, right? And maybe I should print it out just for sanity. So just like we modified the array, we're going to do an access loop right after. So we're going to do score, so system.out.println. I'm going to do print so it doesn't put them on another line. And then I'm going to say scores. And then I'm going to do plus, and then I'm going to put the commas. And then I'm going to put the brackets. So it looks really nice. Now notice the brackets, I'm printing them outside the loop. Because if I put it inside the loop, it's going to print, a bunch of brackets. So whatever you don't want to repeat, make sure it goes outside the loop. So this looks good. Oh, we're going to ignore that. There's a special kind of for that you can use. But we're going to stick with this for loop for now. I'll definitely, we'll give it a look later on. Okay, so system.print. Okay, so quiz scores array. So then sandwiched in between is the for loop actually printing it. Okay, beautiful. Let's run it. I might get an error. So let's see. Line 12, system.out. Oh, I got a typo. I don't know how that happened. All right, let's run it again. How many students in the class? Let's go with a small amount. Let's go with 3. Enter score number 1, 25. Score number 2, 33. Enter score number 3, 100. Quiz scores array. Oh, that shouldn't have been ln. Then it puts them on the next line. So let me take off the ln. This one just looks fine for ln. There is an extra comma. There is a way to fix that. But let's see. Do you want to grade another exam? We're gonna put no. It says scanner threw a bunch of errors. Okay, that's weird. Oh, I said, do you want to grade another exam? And it says how many students in the class. Huh. It kind of ran anyway, so I'll have to check that out. But first things first is I'm gonna fix the output of this. So let me test it out again. Let's do 2 students this time. Let's go. Scores 199. Okay, so that prints a lot nicer. For some reason, okay, so this must be a new line issue, right? Print ln response dot next line. So it looks like the carriage return is not being consumed. So I need to do a, let's see, I need a system.out.print, system.out.println just by itself. Remember, that was a common bug with the scanner. So we're gonna reset this. Let's try 2. Let's see, let's go 25, 33. I did it again. So I need to put this somewhere else. Let's put it, how about next int, quiz scores. Let's see, let's rerun it. Let's see, 2 scores, 25 or 24, 25. It's skipping it again. Okay, I need to take a closer look. Let's see. Okay, so I just realized, right? I shouldn't be doing a println. I should be consuming the next line character. That should fix it. So let's run it again. So let's see, 2 students, 25, 33. There we go. This looks better. Again, I can still print this a little nicer. I don't like that last comma. But let's see, if I put no, it should end the program. Looks good. If I run it again, put yes, it should repeat it all over again. So let's put 2, 25, 33. Let's put yes. Yeah, it'll repeat it all over again. Looks good. Okay, so I'm very picky with this. I'm not quite liking the extra comma. So we're going to print this a little bit smarter than just putting it on every single element. I'm only going to print a comma if I'm not at the end of the array. Because if I'm at the end of the array, I shouldn't print a comma. So we're going to say if index, let's see, is equal to quiz scores dot length. We're going to go with that. I'm going to do a one-liner if statement, just to remind you that's the first one we learned. I'm going to do system.out.println, and then I'm going to do the comma. So it's only going to print if I'm not at the end. So I need to negate this. So I'm going to throw an extra parentheses and throw the negation in front. So this looks good. Index. So it's already giving me the clue, right? So I am making an intentional mistake here. I'll show you what I mean. So 2 students. Let's see. 25, 33. Oh, I shouldn't be ln. Let me fix that. 2 students, 25, 33. Oh, where am I putting an ln? Oh, here. Oh, I guess I could put that on there. I took it off the wrong spot. So 2 students, 25, 33. So this quite didn't work. And that's because, remember, the index is never going to reach quizscores.length. Because the last index is actually quizscores.length minus 1. So we need to change this a bit. So we're going to say, and I actually don't need the negation there. That's kind of not the smartest way to write this. We're going to say as long as the index does not equal quizscores.length minus 1. And when I'm doing math, I always like to wrap an extra parentheses. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, so let me just do it there. Yeah, just when I'm doing math, I like to wrap it. So this is the actual end, the last index. So as long as we're not in the last index, you're going to put a comma. If you are in the last index, well, you're not going to put anything, right? So let's run it again. Let's see, 2 students, 25, 33. And there you go. Quiz scores array looks beautiful now. Kind of useless, right? You're probably not going to be printing arrays like this very often. But yeah, that's something. Now, this program is great at spitting out exactly what I just typed in, which is not that useful, right? Let's actually have it do something. Let's calculate the average. So if I want to calculate the average, I can, let's see, I can do a like a running sum. So let's see. So I got my quiz scores array, so I already verified it. I don't really need all of this code here, so I'm gonna get rid of it. I already verified that that works. I'm gonna add one more variable here. I'm gonna do it inside the do loop because it's really only necessary here, and it's int sum of scores equals 0. So it's very, very simple to keep track of the total sum of the scores because I'm going to need the sum of the scores, right, to calculate average. All you need to do is one line of code. So once they enter um, that score and we put it in the array, all you need to do is sum of scores is equal to sum of scores. So there's going to be like a rolling sum, right? We're updating the sum every time we iterate the array. And so we're going to grab that quiz score, which is quiz scores index. So we did assignment and then we did access. And so here, I'm going to do a system.out.println sum of the scores is, and then sum of scores, and then average is, score is, then we're going to do plus. Remember, if I'm doing math, I always like to use my parentheses, divided by, well, it should be the number of students, right? Which we called it class size. So I'm going to do stop and rerun. Let's see, 2 students, 25, 33. Sum of the scores is 58. That's correct. Average score is 29. Yeah, that looks good. 29 is right in the middle of 25 and 33. Yes, perfect. This is exactly what I want. If I hit yes, I can do it all over again. 3 students. Let's go with 25, 75, 100. So the sum of the scores is 200. The average is 66. 200 divided by 3 is, yeah, just about 66, right? It would actually be a decimal value, but because my average here, I'm dividing integers, then my answer is also an integer. And yeah, that's a successful program right there. I will share this with y'all. I'll put the main.java file so that you guys can review this. But yeah, that's me writing a program. And notice I am using a nested loop. I have a do while and a for loop inside. Seems kind of scary, but wasn't that bad actually. Now, of course, right, when it's your first time working with these, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. That's the scary part. But I want you to embrace those mistakes, right? Because, like I've said since the beginning of the class, debugging is the best way for you to learn how to program. Every time you debug an error, you become a better programmer. So, welcome in those, bugs, those errors, because it's going to be a learning experience every time. The pain will help you remember. As always, if you need any help, right, feel free to reach out. I'm always here to support you.